You never really know the stories walking past you. Every day, you cross paths with 100 silent faces, 100 worlds you'll never see. The woman who serves your coffee, her hands steady, her smile quick, a broken bar. What memory just flickered behind her eyes as she handed you the cup? The man on the subway, staring at nothing, his face a mask of quiet endurance. A broken bar. What battle is he fighting that you know nothing about? We see the surface, the calm water. We never see the depths teeming with life, with shipwrecks, with hidden treasures. I want to tell you a story about one such face. His name was Arthur, and for years, he was just the silent old man in apartment 4B. To everyone in our building, Arthur was a portrait of quiet solitude. He was the man who tended to the small, neglected patch of daffodils by the front steps with a kind of sacred devotion. He was the man you'd see sitting on the bench in the courtyard, simply watching the pigeons, a worn leather satchel always by his side. He never spoke unless spoken to, and even then, his replies were gentle, brief, and offered with a smile that never quite reached his eyes. It was a polite smile, a door held just ajar, but never fully opened. We, his neighbors, in our busy, noisy lives, had written our own stories for him. We decided he was lonely. We decided he was a widower, living out his days in the quiet echo of a long-lost love. We felt a pang of pity for him, a silent agreement that his was a life of gentle, fading twilight. How arrogant we were. How quick to mistake silence for emptiness. My story truly begins on a Tuesday, with a storm. It was one of those angry, late autumn downpours that turns the world into a blur of grey and wind. I was rushing home, my coat soaked through, when I saw him. Arthur was standing by the building's main door, not under the awning, but just outside it, getting drenched. He was staring intently at something cradled in his hands. As I got closer, I saw it was a small, brown bird, a sparrow, its feathers plastered to its tiny body, one wing bent at an unnatural angle. It was trembling, a tiny heart beating against a world that was too big, too cold. And Arthur, a broken bar. Arthur was crying. Not loud, dramatic sobs. These were silent tears, mingling with the rain on his cheeks. His entire being was focused on this broken, fragile creature. His large, work-worn hands, usually so steady, were cupped around the bird with a tenderness that shook me to my core. I stopped. All my hurry vanished. "Arthur," I said, my voice soft against the drumming rain. He looked up, and for the first time, he didn't hide what was in his eyes. There was no polite smile, no mask. There was only a raw, profound grief, and beneath it, a fierce, determined love. "Everything deserves a chance," he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. "No matter how small, no matter how broken." That was the crack in the door. I helped him get the bird inside. We made a small nest from a towel in a cardboard box in the warmth of the lobby. He knew exactly what to do, his movements precise and full of a practiced care. He didn't speak much then, but the silence between us was different. It was no longer the silence of strangers. It was the silence of a shared moment, who understood secret. The next day, I knocked on his door with a spare box of tissues, an excuse to check on him, and on the bird. He let me in, and for the first time, I saw the world behind the silent face. Apartment 4B was not a tomb of memories. It was a gallery. Every surface held a model ship, exquisitely crafted, with sails made of what looked like aged parchment and rigging so fine it seemed spun from spider silk. There were paintings on the walls, not prints, but originals, bursting with color, vivid landscapes and serene seascapes that spoke of a deep, passionate soul. And on a small desk by the window, next to the box with the now sleeping sparrow, was an open leather satchel. I caught a glimpse of its contents. Not books, but notebooks, dozens of them, filled with elegant, looping handwriting. "You're an artist," I breathed, my eyes wide, taking it all in. Arthur gave a small, genuine smile. "A preserver," he corrected gently. "I preserve things that others might think are lost." That was the first of many visits. Slowly, over cups of tea, with a recovering sparrower whom he'd named Peeper cheeping softly in the background, Arthur began to share his story. And the man I met was not the man we had all invented. Arthur was not a widower. He had been a surgeon, a brilliant one, known for his steady hands. But more than that, he had been a husband to a woman named Dilara, a whirlwind of a painter whose spirit was as vibrant as the art that now adorned his walls. They had dreamed of sailing the world, of painting it, of writing about it. They bought the satchel for their adventures. But the adventures never came. Dilara was diagnosed with a slow, progressive illness that stole her mobility, then her fine motor skills, and finally, her ability to speak. The grand adventures were replaced by smaller, more profound ones. Adventures in their living room, in the pages of books they read together, in the stories they told each other. When she could no longer hold a brush, he held it for her, his hand guiding hers, creating the last few paintings together. When she could no longer speak, he learned to read the stories in her eyes. He left his surgical practice to care for her, every day, for 10 years, and every night, after she fell asleep, he would open that leather satchel and write. He wrote down everything she could no longer say. He wrote down her stories, her jokes, her wisdom. He wrote down the color of the sky that day, the song that played on the radio, the way the light fell on her face. He was preserving her. He was building a ship of words to carry her spirit. The ships? I asked one afternoon, my voice thick with emotion. He looked at the intricate model on the mantelpiece. That was our dream, the one we never got to sail. So I built them for her. Each one is a journey we planned, a place we wanted to see. He wasn't living in the past, he was honoring it. He was in a constant, active, loving conversation with the love of his life. His silence in the courtyard wasn't emptiness, it was fullness. He was listening to a voice only he could hear, remembering a touch only he could feel. We had mistaken his profound devotion for loneliness. We had mistaken his rich, internal world for poverty. The day Pip the sparrow was strong enough to fly, we took the box to the courtyard. Arthur opened it, and after a moment of hesitation, Pip took off, a small, brown dart against the vast blue sky. He didn't fly far. He landed on the branch of the old oak tree and began to sing. Arthur watched him, and his face a broken bar. It was a masterpiece of mixed emotions. There was the sorrow of letting go, but it was eclipsed by a pure, unadulterated joy. The joy of having been part of a miracle. The joy of having helped a broken thing become whole again. He looked at me and said the words that have stayed with me ever since. We are all keepers of broken things, aren't we? We spend our lives trying to mend what is shattered, our wings, hearts, dreams, and sometimes, we get it right. And sometimes, the mending leaves a beautiful scar, a reminder that we survived, that we loved, that we tried. Arthur is gone now. He passed peacefully in his sleep a year later, with Pip's song drifting in through the open window. He left me the leather satchel. Inside, I found not only the stories of Dilara but a new one, at the very end. A story about a rainy day, a young neighbor, and a sparrow that brought two silent worlds together. He had included me in his preservation, and he taught me the most important lesson I will ever learn. Do not look at a silent face and see a blank page. See a library. See a universe. Behind the quiet eyes of the cashier, there might be a poet. Behind the weary face of the bus driver, there might be a hero who has sacrificed everything for his family. Behind the stern face of the stranger on the street, there might be a love so vast it has no need for words. Every single person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, loving someone you cannot see, carrying a dream you haven't heard. Your life will become infinitely richer, infinitely more compassionate, the day you stop seeing strangers and start seeing stories waiting to be respected. The greatest stories are never told aloud. They are lived. They are carried in the heart. They are written in the quiet dignity of a life well loved, and well lived. Look closer. Listen with your heart. The world is full of silent faces, and every one of them is a masterpiece.